Deputy Caoimhghín. 13 minutes.
I welcome to the public gallery here tonight members of the Irish Thalidomide Association. I welcome victims, family members and litigants, and hope that this bill on its passage will help them address the great wrong which was visited upon them and upon those who have passed without ever knowing justice, and all the while with the full knowledge of the Irish state. More worryingly, but not surprising, is the fact that yet again we know that the Irish state tried to bury this scandal and to deny these victims their voice. Minister, I find it absolutely reprehensible that yet again we are debating in this chamber an issue concerning a medical scandal and a subsequent cover-up that has destroyed people's lives. To be quite frank about it, it sends shivers up my spine. I have to ask myself, what kind of state and what kind of society are we when we repeatedly find ourselves in these situations? When do we learn the lessons? Thalidomide was given to pregnant mothers in this country back in the late 1950s as a sedative and as a treatment for morning sickness. In November 1961, it was discovered by an Australian gynaecologist that thalidomide was responsible for causing profound deformities of body and mind in children born to mothers who had been taking thalidomide. Despite most countries ceasing the use of thalidomide at that point, it remained on the market in Ireland until as late as June of 1962. This pattern is all too familiar, with similar scandals like anti-D, haemophiliacs, contaminated blood products, transvaginal mesh, and most recently the cervical cancer screening scandal. We react far too late when these scandals are discovered and then treat the victims disgracefully. We impose the weight of the state upon them to prevent them pursuing the justice they richly deserve. We see the result of this tonight. These victims, some 26 of them in number, who have cases outstanding, are waiting over 50 years to be adequately compensated. The case is at a standstill in the High Court, with Judge Seamus Noonan criticising the slow pace of proceedings with no prospect of progress suggested in the medium term. The defendant company, Grunenthal, are sitting behind a 1970 settlement and also the statute of limitations. I commend Deputy Jack Chambers for attempting to address this blockage here tonight. It is a commendable piece of work that is a genuine attempt to deliver for these people. And I assure Jack and I assure this chamber that its passage will have my and my party's full and unconditional support. And Minister, I record my horror at the government's decision to oppose this bill tonight. Before finishing, I would also like to place on the record an unfolding scandal which is similar in that it concerns the drug valproate, which is used to treat epilepsy and bipolar disorder. It similarly has caused birth defects in newborns, their expectant mothers having taken this drug. A European-wide ban on the use of valproate during pregnancy is now in place since the 31st of May past, following a safety review carried out by the European Commission, resulting in a legally binding decision. I welcome that there are now in place an awareness programme, pre-assessments and explicit warnings for women at risk. I further welcome that there is work underway to review the diagnostic and support services required by people who may have been affected by fetal anticonvulsant syndrome, FACS. Minister, it scares me to recognise the similarities involved in the case of valproate and thalidomide. For example, France banned the use of valproate for expectant mothers on July the 6th of last year, 2017. It is estimated that 4,100 births with defects arose from this drug in France. France, since late 2017, has set up a compensation fund to begin addressing the needs of victims. Minister, I would appreciate if you would update this House tonight or at some point in the very near future where Ireland stands in relation to this drug and the mark it has left on the lives of how many of our citizens. And I conclude by assuring Deputy Chambers once again and this chamber that we in Sinn Féin will assist in the passage of tonight's bill through second stage.